want us to go to Spice FM, where they're currently interviewing Robert Mundia. He's the CEO of BioVend East Africa, and they're discussing recycling sewage water. Let's take a listen to that interview.
So individuals should actually just be responsible, spend just a bit, do a sewage treatment plant for yourself if you do not want these problems, if you do not want kids outside your compound playing on raw sewage, stepping on raw sewage. The county also, I feel, should take responsibility. For example, they're really doing well in expanding the sewer lines. The sewer lines in Nairobi, when we started the business, was about 20-something, actually probably 20% of Nairobi. It's now 30. If I'm not wrong, probably over 30% of Nairobi now has sewer lines. Now, all of it has to come all the way to Ruai, really. There are some places, Ruai is the lowest part. As you're looking for gradient to take the sewage, it's the lowest part. But some of them keep busting. You see some places keep busting because the gradient is not really good enough. Why don't you just demarcate land there? Do a sewage treatment plant, clean the water nicely. Not, the Ruai one smells sometimes because it's not really up to scratch. Yeah, it is not. So do treatment plants, decentralized treatment plants.
And that's what I'm advocating for. Because you see, if a big developer, for example, Citilisi is a large-scale developer. The others, Kinatatu City, Kina Northlands, would be large-scale developers. So you can say, as a community, as a developer, you are basically operating a small town. So you can run a centralized sewer system. Instead of saying everybody in Tilisi or in Tatu City is sinking their own doing. So you can do that. Then now look at the other areas. If we say the way Syokimau has developed, or Kitengela, or Mlolongo, the county government of Machakos should have a way of dealing with the Mavoko municipality to organize all that sewer in Mavoko and centralize it. Then now you can have a new pipe where you're reticulating and charging. Unataka maji ya water grass, ndio hii pipe yake, and you pay X amount
for it.
It can be a PPP project, where even the developer, like say the company, comes in and creates that sewage treatment plant. And then they are given a few years to run it and recoup their money. The county government doesn't really need to spend, maybe just a bit. There's a fee. There's something we're doing with Laikipia County. But, politics.
Change of government.
Everything goes, everything just goes. Kila kitu, yani is just thrown away.
Tulikuwa tunafanya nyinyi nani?
Wapi?
Mulikuwa hapa.
Nitafutie ufanye.
So, if contracts can be drawn, where politics will not be involved, business of counties is left as the business, and the politics of county is left as the politics. Then there are players who will come in and invest.
You know why I'm pushing for this is because this same Ministry of Water is also ministry in charge of sanitation. We had the cabinet secretary here, and there's a lot of focus on water, on what we're doing for water. We are building all these dams, we are collecting, we are doing entire trunking and piping and using the water agencies, but little conversation about sewage and what we are doing with the wastewater. And we don't even have a policy. So there has been a sanitation policy that has been sitting in the ministry, and now it's going to Parliament, taking a long time to even have a conversation. That sanitation policy would talk about this mini-grid sanitation systems, where we don't have to think of, if it's Nairobi, it must be Kanjo taking all the way to Ruai. It can be decentralized. And then that would help, that would support. So if you're an individual and you've bought a plot in Kitengela, you know that in Kitengela, there's a company called Kitengela, let's even say BioVend, has a PPP with the county government of Kajiado, that they are managing and handling Kitengela sewage. So I know I'm building, I come to you, I apply, I shall connect, where's your pipe? I shall put into your pipe, and thereafter you're also saying I shall also buy.
And you bring in a very interesting conversation. During the climate summit, most of what they were showing is, say you find northeastern dead cows, arid areas. They were showing that photo a lot. Why are those cows dying? Because of water. It's not because of solar. It is because of water. Now, the problem is, and I will call it out, water is not being funded enough. by the organizations that fund. Most of the funding goes to solar. Most of the funding goes to biogas. We are still in the same picture, but water funding is being denied. I can't say denied, but there is no the funding. Most of the funding goes to other sources, but water is also very, very important on climate change. We messed up for real. Humans messed up. But on water, we haven't yet messed up. The problems will come 30 years from now. 30 years from now, there's even stories in the internet about that there was in 30 years to come, 50 years to come, will be about water, not oil.
Yep.
So should we wait for that time to start fighting? Why don't we start reusing the water?
Looking at how to manage water.
Yes.
How much of a okay? How many times can you recycle? Or are we saying? I mean, it sounds like a dumb question.
No.
How many times can you put water through the cycle, or does it doesn't matter? You can just keep sending it through.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're working like a wheel. You keep using and sending it back.
Yes.
And it will continue to deliver proper quality
Continue
water
to
for
be
you.
water.
It
Yeah,
will.
I mean, does it
will.
over time? Does it now degrade in terms of quality because it has been recycled, or are we saying in this process of treatment that every time it goes through the cycle, it will bring to you water as new? Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
It is actually cleaner and better to reuse the water that's already been reused.
Okay.
It is better. It becomes even cleaner.
Okay.
Now, the fact that it is there are some systems that can be created where you actually recycle 95% of your water. Yeah. The 5 is actually just waste because of evaporation and stuff. Yes, but imagine a building that is just reflashing the water, reflashing the water, reflashing. Where does that water go to? Nowhere else. It comes back again to the toilets.
Yeah.
It's reflashed.
It is.
That way. So, but it's a bit of a dream to achieve 95%.
Sure.
But there are systems that you can come up and do proper calculations where you recycle so much of your water.
And you can.
Yes.
Okay. So, most of the things that we talk about that are sustainable are also expensive to input the first time. So to put in these systems, are we looking at a severe dent in terms of
The pocket.
the pocket?
Good question, do.
Mtu akianza hivyo.
It's a really good question because biodigesters, when somebody has built the house, or come in, gone to Syokimau, plot, and the house finished, those people are usually broke most of the time.
Yep.
They do not want to hear expenses. It's just that they cannot enter that house without sewage, a solution for sewage. They will ignore the electric fences and the CCTVs. You can enter the house, but they will not ignore the sewage. They have to do it. Now, biodigesters are cheaper. They come to about 100,000 going lower, depending again on the pipe work and stuff like that. So you find people want to embrace that. They want to say, no, me, I just want a biodigester, because you've told him the sewage treatment plant is 300,000. Yeah. And you've not done the civil works yet, the chambers. But the plant itself is 300,000. Now, it brings back your comment, brings back again the funding story, where we've done documents to try and get funding to reduce the cost of a sewage treatment plant. If we did start manufacturing here locally, instead of bringing those things from Denmark, every time we get a job, you have to wait for 3 months because to be shipped, then clearing and stuff like that. But we are planning maybe in future to be able to manufacture all those filters, manufacture sewage,
or assemble.
Not manufacture, assemble a sewage treatment plant that is going to be plug and play. That will cost 180,000. Now, look at that figure. If you get a contractor, tell him to do for you a soak pit or a septic tank, a soak pit especially, that is properly done by a contractor, properly done. They actually cost like 200,000. A septic tank, if it's done well. So wouldn't you recycle your water? You would better recycle your water and use it for your loan, use it for...
You have other uses for it. I mean, it cuts back on your bills and and headache.
Yes.
Of where you're getting the water for
Also
all
think where
these
it's
other
going to
things.
go in terms of waste.
And also thinking, I mean, what's the point of just wasting it if
Exactly.
you can reuse it?
Exactly.
We had some young men here, 2 young gentlemen, who were studying in Kenyan universities, and then they got into this government program and the government sponsored them to go and spend, was it a year or two in Israel?
2.
And among the things that they came back and tell us, the irrigation and all, the management of water in Israel is at another level. Because they are thinking of everything, how much can we reuse, how much each drop of water is useful. Now we bring back to the conversation about drought and the effects of drought, and the fact that for very many months in a year, some parts of this country, just there's nothing that happens. All you're seeing is your animals getting emaciated as you're waiting for the eventual death if the government does not come and buy your livestock. But then we could do all these things in terms of water reticulation and reusing all the water that we have.
Yes.
How far do you have an association of people who are playing in the sanitation field that is pushing these, that's advocating?
No, right now the players in the STP industry, especially sewage treatment plant industry, are not too many. But you bring in a valid point where, and maybe I should call them out.